Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Reading Between the Headlines. I'm Asaf Nisim. Little Broken Picard is here. Let's do the thing. Headline number 1. He could have said something when I was going through a tough period. Saido Berahino hits back at Glenn Johnson. You guys probably know about Glenn Johnson. If not, he played as a right back at the highest level for West Ham, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Stoke. Quality player who achieved a lot. Apparently, he had some rough stuff to say about Saido Berahino in an interview with TalkSport. Here it is.
To be honest, it's not so much what's gone wrong. It'd be quicker to say what's gone right. He had the wrong mentality, the wrong attitude from day one. Obviously, I only know him from the days at Stoke. Obviously, his days at West Brom, he obviously played. He had a few good months and was hitting the back of the net regular. But for whatever reason, when he was at Stoke, it was always going against the grain. If we was told to be here at 10, he would deliberately come at 10 past 10. If we was told to wear this, he'd deliberately wear something different. It was almost like he had a vendetta against them from the start. So it's strange to watch, really, because in training you'd see little glimpses where you think, oh, he can play, there's something there, but he just didn't ever want to sort of push himself. If we was doing a running session, they wanted us to go quicker, he'd go slower. You know, it's always... and I'm not exaggerating, it was every single day. But one of the prime examples I can think of, after a match, if he was on the bench or not in the squad, you'd have to run after the game. Of course, no players like doing it because obviously they're angry at the fact that they didn't play in the first place. And then obviously you might be running at 10:30 at night on an evening or whatever. So I can understand why players are unhappy about it, but that was the rules. So everyone did it, that Saido would jog. And we were supposed to be off on, say, the following Sunday. But because Saido didn't run afterwards, everybody had to come in on that day, even the players that played the game. But then what happened Sunday morning, we all turn up for training, Saido phones in sick. He doesn't even show up. So we're only there because of him, and then he doesn't even turn up. So it's like, it was uproar, you know. Obviously the players and the decent lads are, well, where'd you go from that, you know? It's total disrespect for the staff, the players, and that's what he was like on a daily basis. So, and the fact that they've paid him up with 3 years left to go, it said everything you need to know.
Did you like him, Glenn?
No, if I'm brutally honest, no, I didn't, because I've worked with loads of players that might not be up to the level, but they're nice people and they'll work hard and they'll try. He wasn't at the level and he didn't try. So it's hard to accept.
So his attitude, he did have an attitude problem.
Totally, yeah, totally, big time. I mean, and like I say, it's not happened once, is it? It's not. No. It's happened throughout his career. He's 26. He should be having. Well, he should be having a big move right now. And there's a reason why he's not nailed anything down, and he's not played for England, and there's reasons for it. And the fact that everyone pretty much says the same thing. It's like, if I was a manager or an owner of a club, I wouldn't take him if he paid me to play.
Seriously?
Yeah.
If you were paid...
If he paid me to play, I still would.
Wow. Well, as you could see, he wasn't too hot on Saido, and he wasn't afraid to divulge. Berahino actually responded quite maturely, I would say, to the slander. He said, "Glenn's got his own opinion. I actually want you to write this. I respect Glenn Johnson's career that he's already produced. That's his opinion. If that's how he felt, it's funny that he's coming out now on radio when the disappointing thing for me is I had so much respect for him. I sat next to him in the changing room. There was never one time he called me aside and said something about my behavior or anything. He's a well-respected player. He's a senior player. He's got so many accolades. So I was a bit disappointed that he had to go to the radio to say that. He could have said something when I was going through a tough period at Stoke. But if that's how he feels, then I can only respect his opinion, and I wish him all the best for what he is doing in his career now. You have to believe that there's something in what Glenn Johnson was saying, of course. Having seen what Berahino is capable of, you do find yourself wondering what the heck happened to him. On various occasions, you'd hear all sorts of rumors that he was being looked at by this club or that big club. Someone even made a welcome to Liverpool highlight video of him 4 years ago. As opposed to a has-been, instead of playing for Liverpool or United or Chelsea, Berahino is now a 26-year-old never was playing for Belgian club Zulte Waregem. For the millions of Belgians at home watching this, please excuse my pronunciation. YouTube doesn't pay me to learn these things. Actually, they don't pay me at all yet. Did I mention to subscribe to this channel? And send me gifts? Anyway, interestingly enough, Berahino's new manager, Frank Dury, had nothing but fine words to say about him to TalkSport. He said, "I like the boy, he is doing very well. Berahino is an excellent football player and intelligent. He even has a special program where he watches the opponent we play in our next match, and he knows a lot of information about the other team. This, for me, is a real professional. I am working now with a player who is happy, and I am happy with him. I love the boy. The boy's accepted by all the players. For the moment, I have the model professional. From my first contact with the player, I was in my office with his 2 agents. It was love at first sight. The boy wants to play football." So, highly contrasting sentiments from Johnson and Dury. I suppose it would help to know more. Of course it would. But there's probably truth in what Johnson had to say about him. There's no other reason why a player of this magnitude, this talent, would be in the prime of his career and not playing for a bigger club. No offense to club Zulte Waregem. We've discussed mentality being the difference between greatness and great talent on this show. On the other hand, you sort of have to take what Johnson said with a grain of salt. Clearly, Berahino responded to the allegations maturely. Clearly, his present manager views him as a model professional. In all likelihood, Saido was a victim of being young and immature. We've all been there, right? At a time when he was expected to be better. Maybe he's come around now. Maybe it just took him some time to develop a better mindset for the job. Hopefully he can work his way back up and maybe achieve something great before his time is up in the game. Headline number 2. Tony Cascarino lays into Gerard Deulofeu's weekend performance against Wolves. It's no secret that Watford have been struggling since the end of last season. Following what was an incredible journey to the FA Cup final at Wembley, the Hornets were destroyed by Manchester City 6-0. You could say this was the start of a downhill spiral towards this past weekend's 8-0 massacre at City's hands once again. There was a bit of light at the end of the tunnel after a great comeback 2-2 draw against Arsenal, but as you could see, it's been snuffed out quite quickly, and they're struggling to find their bearings. While you could never lay blame at the feet of one player, former Chelsea player Tony Cascarino had some words for Deulofeu. He said, "Gerard Deulofeu is the most gifted member of Watford's squad, capable of scaring the life out of defenders. Deulofeu did not pull his weight at Wolves. He was never in the game and was pulled off at halftime. Everyone knows how dangerous Deulofeu can be, but given Watford's perilous position, they can ill afford a player who does not turn up. Quique Sanchez Flores needs players who are up for the fight. Deulofeu is a huge talent. It's actually kind of sad. Everyone can see what magic he has in him, and yet he is fast becoming like an out-of-style child star who was forced to book commercials and a low-budget rendition of Home Alone 6. He came out of the Barcelona academy, but he only made 12 appearances for the club. After that, he went from club to club looking to make an impression. If you're a person who loves players with flair, then you love watching Deulofeu when he's at his best. If you're Elton John, you were probably super amped when they secured his signature on a permanent basis. If you're Elton John's son at the Vancouver Science World, you'd rather wear a Byron kit. After the loss to Wolves, Quique Sanchez Flores said, "This is not the team we are looking for. I want less possession and for us to be more compact and have more pressure. At the moment, we are not a compact team. We are stronger on the training ground than we are in matches. Right now, everyone is suffering. The fans are suffering. My staff is suffering. The challenge is to get inside this kind of mess and try to solve it." The man is a very experienced manager with a long list of clubs on his CV. Getafe, Valencia, Benfica, Atletico Madrid, and Espanyol, just to name a few. He needs to prove that he's more than just an extremely good-looking man with eyes that pierce through your soul, like Ryan Shaw crosses cleats through Aaron Ramsey's tibia. He needs to prove that he can make a difference at a club in chaos, when the chips are down, when nothing's going right. But most importantly, because Elton John is angry. And we all know that you wouldn't like Sir Elton when he's angry. Before we get to headline number 3, I'd like to take this moment to remind you all to please like, comment, share, subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. If not, we're not friends. This week, I'd like to shout out a very special fan of the show. If it wasn't for Donnie Mitzner, I probably never would have gotten into football. I probably never would have gone on to become a referee for the United States Soccer Federation. This show probably wouldn't exist. So thank you, Schnitzy. Back to the show. Headline number 3. It's not hard to buy Newcastle. You just need to find £300 million. But Peter Kenyon doesn't have it, and neither did Amanda Staveley. Honestly, this is just such a sad state of affairs for Newcastle supporters. It feels like being in a long-term relationship that has overrun its course. You're living together, and maybe one of you can't afford to leave, so you're basically stuck trying to get by the best you can. Skimping on toilet paper leaves you feeling like paupers struggling to stay in the first division of butt maintenance. Yeah, every once in a while, you and your ex have a sensational Saturday night. You feel like things might get back on track, like this uplifting experience is going to change things. Charmin toilet paper from now on. But then you lose to Leicester City 5-0. According to Martin Samuel, Newcastle is for sale and it has been for years. He writes, "There is one problem with Peter Kenyon's £300 million bid for Newcastle. It's the £300 million part. He hasn't got it. Not in any finite sense. If he had, Newcastle would be his now, just as it could be yours or mine or anybody's. Apparently, businessman Peter Kenyon had promised Mike Ashley that he'd have the deal done by Christmas. Last year. Turns out, he hasn't got the money and has resorted to crowdfunding. Apparently, he's even commissioned a brochure conveying Newcastle as a fantastic investment opportunity in hopes of garnering investors for his takeover. This brochure apparently includes all sorts of informational goodies, like an impressive list of squad valuations. Players like Salomon Rondon, Kennedy, and Antonio Barreca can be found on it. Unfortunately for Kenyon and potential investors, these players were all on loan last season. The situation gets even bleaker for supporters. Kenyon conveys a specific transfer spend forecast. £35 million in 2021 and $40 million in each of the following 3 seasons. That's $38.75 million a year. That may be fine for Tottenham supporters, but that is less than Newcastle spent this past summer on just Joe Linton. Bottom line here is that a deal isn't happening anytime soon, and what owner is going to want to continue investing season after season in a club he plans to sell? Fans have been protesting for months now, and Ashley is looking increasingly desperate. If and when he does sell, I can't imagine the vetting process will be too stringent. I mean, he's desperate. He wants to sell this club. Newcastle supporters may just have to dig in and get used to wiping with sandpaper. At least they'll have these two beauties to comfort them as the ship sinks deeper, and ever the more into oblivion. Headline number 4. Agent of CSKA Moscow striker reveals previous interest from Crystal Palace manager Roy Hodgson. Now, here's a player that I hadn't heard of, but was delighted to research. Fyodor Chalov is new to the spotlight in world football, but is already making statements for CSKA Moscow. He's only 21, but has scored 31 goals in 76 appearances for the Russian club, most of which came last season when he won the Russian Golden Boot. His highlight reel is replete with all types of goals. headers, quick turns into powerful strikes, dribbling past defenders, left foot, right foot, no problem. He seems like a really natural number 9, and he's still so young. With a good attitude and the right coaching, this kid might be a real gem. Crystal Palace reportedly, depending on what source you use, had a 15 to 23 million pound bid rejected by CSKA this summer. His agent Sandor Varga told Match Premier via Championat that he, quote, talked with Crystal Palace manager Roy Hodgson about Chalov. He really likes the player. I don't want to exclude the possibility that Crystal Palace will make another move for him next summer. The player's great recent form earned him a call-up to the Russian senior squad earlier this year, and he's got 2 caps to show for it. It's really still a young project, but this could be the next name we see come out of nowhere and turn heads. Check him out if you get a chance. Headline number 5. Christian Pulisic has been the 58 million pound odd man out in Frank Lampard's Chelsea revolution. Now his lack of playing time is causing concern in the States, with commenters crying anti-US bias as their golden boy faces his toughest test yet. And don't blame Pep Guardiola if Phil Foden doesn't play for Manchester City. He needs to learn from harsh lessons of Ben Woodburn and Oliver Burke. For this segment, we're looking at 2 contrasting headlines from the same periodical, the Daily Mail. It's business as usual in the papers, looking to drum up controversy any way they can. Let me start off by saying that I think both Christian Pulisic and Phil Foden are very talented players who will make an impact in the sport. Foden is an elegant young player who, given his innate ability to dribble past players and find space, can play on the wing, but seems more of a midfielder. He's got very tight control on the ball and has a knack for receiving the ball in traffic, wriggling through, and distributing the ball to his teammates. Almost seems like the Mason Mount of Manchester City, given his ability to score and go forward, but still being more of a natural midfielder. Pulisic, for me, is more of a forward player. At Dortmund, he played on the wing most of the time, which seems appropriate given how lightning fast he is. So fast that Callum Hudson-Odoi, no slouch himself, said that Pulisic was likely the quickest player in the Chelsea squad. For the US national team, in which he's probably the most talented player to ever grace the team sheet, he plays a more central number 10 playmaking role. I imagine he has the freedom to go wherever he pleases, of course. It's often said that he was bought to replace the impending void left by Eden Hazard leaving for Real Madrid. Similar to Hazard, he's got magic dribbling skills, fantastic turning ability, and probably even more pace. Having said that, nobody at the club truly believed that Pulisic would come in and just light up the score sheet game in and game out. The objective was to help him eventually become a player of Hazard's caliber, and I truly believe that he has the quality to do that with Chelsea. To cut right to it, the Pulisic controversy, for me, is just plain stupid. Let's not make a mountain out of a molehill here. The kid just turned 21, recently joined the league, and his 3 starts for the club haven't been great. Of course, Lampard is going to give the other players in the squad who are in fine form the start ahead of him. Of course, it's going to be tough for any player, especially a young player, to get into the starting 11 at a club like Chelsea. This is par for the course. He needs to work hard. He needs to take his chances when they come. And he needs to continue to develop as a player, but also as a man. Despite recently expressing frustration at lack of playing time when talking to NBC Sports, he seems like the type of kid that's up to the challenge. When asked about the lack of minutes, he said, "Yeah, of course, it is very frustrating, but I will continue to work my hardest because I want to play." Now, people talking anti-US bias, if there truly are any, I haven't seen any myself, are just being ridiculous. Frank is a no-nonsense manager. He will give deserving players the chance to show their quality. In the Foden article, Ian Ladyman sort of expresses precisely what we talked about here a couple weeks ago with regards to Jurgen Klopp's approach to new and young players in the squad. Klopp has shown time and time again that he knows how to develop players. He knows how to slowly introduce players into the team. Not every player is going to develop or acclimate at the same rate. For managers in the Prem, there's no time to blood players in crucial matches. Every single point matters. Speaking of Klopp, he had some amazing things to say about Pulisic when asked about his quality in the pre-match presser, leading up to the exciting fixture at Stamford Bridge. Have a look.
Unfortunately good. He will be a proper player, as he is. He will be big talent, dynamic, pretty good with both feet. Yeah. Super exciting player, absolutely. Good signing, I have to say.
Only a fool would question Jurgen Klopp's eye for talent. So really, everyone needs to just calm down about these young future stars. We know they're great. We're excited to see them. It's up to them to come good and take their chances when they come. That does it for this week's episode of Reading Between the Headlines. Stick around to watch a few more of my favorite goals from the Prem this week. Another reminder to please like, comment, share, subscribe to this channel, and as per usual, from myself and little tiny broken Picard. He's so tiny, so broken. We hope that you live football and prosper.